Welcome, everybody. It's time for Opposite Saxes. We're thrilled that you could be with us today. It's Thursday, 1 o'clock, and we are talking about an interesting subject, although most of ours I like to think are interesting.
It's always fun how we come about what we're going to decide on. We went to the mall this past week. It was, hope and by the way, I hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. And we went out and ventured out a little bit, and we were at the mall, and I just kept probably about at least every few minutes I was pointing in the direction of somebody else that had some kind of a strange hairdo.
Well, maybe they went to the mall to get their hair done for Labor Day, for the holiday.
That could have been. And what's interesting is I think we've all gotten a little accustomed to seeing a lot of the young people with the spiked hair, the pink hair, the blue hair, multicolor
hair on either sides, like one color one side and one color the other side.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm having trouble wrapping my hands around. Is it's long on one side and shaved.
No, I meant one. Well, yes.
Oh, yeah.
But that is one. But the other one is one color on one side and one color on the other.
We have a dear friend, Megan, who
looks good on Megan.
Always had blonde hair on one side and black hair on the other. And I always thought she was like an Oreo cookie walking down the hallway. But we love you, Megan.
Interesting way of putting it. Yes, we do love you, and I like the hair on Megan. It looks good.
But one thing that is interesting now is while it has been more of a youth culture kind of a phenomenon, it's kind of going up in generations.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much disagreement there's going to be between you and I on this one.
Well,
but yes, I've seen older women, gray-haired women with pink hair, purple hair,
pink tips, and all.
Yeah.
And a variety of frostings.
One of the newscasters on the local stations in Texas, she has blonde hair, pretty gal, but her tips, she's got blonde hair on the top, and then the tips are dark brown. It goes from blonde and it goes down.
Sometimes when I see that, I wonder.
And then she's got tips.
Yeah, I wonder, what was that the end of her old hair growing out?
No, definitely not.
No,
there's.
The young lady that cuts my hair, I would say she's probably 50-ish. She has pink tips in her hair. She's got long shoulder length hair and it's pink on the tips, but she's a hairdresser, so she can do that because she's selling it.
And yeah, it's good advertising for her.
She's selling the idea. But and back in my day, if you had your head shaved on the side, you were probably in the military. Because when you were in the service, that was one of the things, you got your head shaved, or at least the side shaved and the top cut in what we called a crew cut or a flat top. If anybody remembers flat tops, you don't see those very often.
No.
But all of a sudden today, decades later, you see a lot of the kids either with long hair on top or relatively short, but they've got that Marine Corps,
I have to tell you something. It's very easy to keep. And it's very cool if you're in a warm climate. I mean, just for that, I know the kids and I know people don't do it for those reasons. For me, having short hair, it's a little shorter than usual, but this is the summer cut because it's really hot in Texas. But it's because I'm out and about, and so I'm washing it all the time, and haircuts are expensive. And this way, if they cut it really short, I don't have to worry about it for a while.
When we met, you had long, flowy, shoulder length hair.
Well, it wasn't really flowy because it was kind of frizzy. It was long to my shoulders.
I was being kind.
You were being very kind. Thank you. But I'm telling it like it was.
Frizzy to one person is flowy to another.
Well, I'm telling it, and I know most men like longer hair.
And then you went through it when the kids were growing up. Your hair was a little bit shorter and all, but now your hair is shorter than mine.
Well, when we got to Florida, 25 years ago, whatever.
more than
It
that,
was
almost.
hot and I couldn't take that longer hair. And that's when I cut it. And I just stayed with it. And it is what it is. But what would you think if I came home with a little pink or purple in my hair?
Just leave an address where you're going to be staying. No, I don't know. I mean, I guess a few years ago, I probably would have been absolutely appalled. Today,
Now
I
it's-
would probably understand it because a lot of people are doing it. It's just a question of when you become a little more mature, is there kind of a living style that you should try to maintain? We have a very, very good friend, and I'll name her, Susan Bernard, who is a phenomenal voice
Yes.
talent,
Yes,
who
she
does,
is.
custom messages on hold, and she does corporate narrations for businesses and all. She has bright red hair. But that's like Susan's calling card. And very often people will use their physical appearance, hair, as well as like tattoos and
Right,
piercings and
right.
all, as kind of a calling card. It sets them apart from everybody else. And Susan, you not only, quickly realize her natural voice, but all the many dialects and voices that she can do. But you would always remember her because of her red hair.
Yeah, it is. It's very red. But again, I think it also depends on the job you have because of her job too. Now, maybe she doesn't care. Maybe if she had a corporate job, she would keep the red hair too.
Well,
And that's
the
very
other side.
possible.
That's the other side of
But
the discussion.
it makes it easier.
Is if somebody, I mean, Susan has her own company
Right.
that she
Well-
promotes, and but
But when you're doing voiceovers, you don't see that person.
a lot of that is behind the scene
Yeah,
anyway when she's
yeah.
doing that. But you still have to have that out front person to person
Yes.
connection
that's
to do
true.
it.
That's true.
I always wonder about those young people, the younger generation, and especially that in that college age set, that those that are shaving their head on one side and it's long on the other, they've got the body piercings or they've got the tattoos around the neck and all. 10 years, 5 years, 10 years later, they walk into a major corporation to get that good paying job. Is that going to work for or against them? Are they going to stand out in that corporate culture? I mean, positively or negatively? Is that person in HR going to look at them and say, yeah, you on paper, you're qualified for the job, but the physical appearance, I know you can't discriminate based on that, but I'm just wondering if the thought process to that person that puts the ring through their nose, do they realize that it could have maybe a negative effect later?
Well, remember when our son was in college and he came home with one of his ears pierced?
Yeah, with high school.
No, I thought that was college
High school.
because either way, we said to him, well, we didn't care. I actually kind of liked it. But how is that going to work when you go out looking for a job? And he thought
Yeah.
about it and he did. He removed it.
Yeah. Well, then
Um,
what happened with your
but-
high school age daughter when she came home once with this shiny bar through her tongue?
Yes, she did. She did. But
That
She-
didn't last
no,
that long either. But I mean, it was
yeah.
a young statement.
But
at the
again,
time.
some people, I don't think they're gonna say, take me as I am, or don't take me at all.
Well, that's
very possible.
that's the thought, and I support it. To somebody that says, is my outward appearance more important than my inward knowledge and demeanor and ability?
I think some of these older corporate folks, it might bother. But as we're getting on now, as the years are rolling on, I don't think it's going to matter. Because those older corporate guys aren't going to be there, men and women, and you're getting the newer up and coming corporate people. You know what? If they have good ideas or if they're good at what they do, who cares? What's the difference? But then there are people that do care.
Yeah.
There are big wigs and owners of companies that, yeah, it's
Were
going to
there-
bother them. So it could go either way.
Were there people, either television or movie personalities or something, that had hairdos that you really thought were pretty cool and you wanted?
Yeah, I'm thinking more singers like Carole King. Loved Carole King's hair.
Well,
And I-
because you had curly
Mine
hair
was
too.
was close, but it didn't look as good as Carole King's. Yeah, and then there was also Peggy Lipton from the Mod Squad. Remember,
Oh, yeah.
she had long,
Long, straight
straight,
hair.
and I always
But
thought,
that was
wouldn't that
at
be cool? But that's
But that was at a
happening.
time when a lot of girls were ironing their hair.
That's right. And believe me, I
To make it
straightened it
straight.
and suffered for it afterwards. So that didn't work for me. But yeah, sure.
And there
Didn't
was
we
Mary
all?
Tyler Moore with the flip.
Well, I had no, I could flip.
And you could,
Yeah,
well,
I
yeah,
could- I
you
had
could,
a
because your
flip.
hair was
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
long
I
at
could
that
flip.
time.
But well, what about you,
Mr.
The-
T.
Mr. T?
Yeah, I always wanted a mohawk. And
Really?
I was a business person, and I realized that was not going to fly in
No.
the world of women's high fashion.
I thought you meant you wanted his gold jewelry,
Well,
which I couldn't imagine, but
I
you're not
still
a jewelry person.
to this day, I don't understand how the man can even stand up. I would have thought that all that jewelry would have just thrown his spine out of
He was
whack.
a tall guy.
But he
big guy.
just had the coolest mohawk hairdo. And then, of course, many years later, when the Rocky movies
Mm-hmm.
came out, he came on as Clubber. His name was Clubber somebody or other.
I remember
And he
that.
still had that mohawk. It was just such a departure from hairdos that other people.
Well, you had a fro, didn't you, at one point?
It's hard to believe, but
Yeah.
I had very, very curly hair.
Right.
And before really and after the Army,
Mhm.
I let my hair grow. When I got out of the service, I let my hair grow. Did not get a haircut, maybe a little bit of a trim, but I had a
You had a
full
full blown.
blown
Yeah, you did.
afro.
Did your
I
did your
love it.
dad say anything to you when you went into business with him?
Well, this is before I went into business with him. This is when I was in Florida,
Oh, okay, okay.
living in Florida.
Okay.
And all. When I got back and went into business with him, I had
Yeah,
to
no,
start
you had
wearing
to-
shirts and
yeah,
ties
right.
and sport
did.
jackets and everything, and it didn't fit. Although I had a mustache, and my hair was a little below my
It
ears
was.
when we got married.
Yeah, it was. But in your first job in Florida, they didn't say anything about your fro?
No, the first job in Florida, I was just out of the
Excuse me.
Army, so I still had that Army cut. I still,
Oh, okay.
still my hair with it. But in college, back in the 60s, afros were very big. Now, but when you got into ROTC, forget that.
Well,
You had
sure.
to have a decent number one, because you couldn't get the cap on
Well,
when you,
yeah.
when you had an
Yeah,
afro.
yeah, it's gonna stick out all those different ways.
Yeah.
I like your hair now.
You do?
Yeah, I can
Well,
run my
it's-
fingers through it.
Yeah, and as I said, my hair's longer than yours. But what if I was to do little light blue highlights around the
wouldn't
side
fit
to accent my eyes?
Wouldn't fit you.
Yeah.
Not even the
you-
mustache or
you
the
wouldn't
beard.
like
Let
it.
it go.
Okay.
The salt and pepper
So,
is great. Love it.
see, well, and I like
Love it.
salt and pepper on you too.
Eh. It's okay. I don't have to worry about it. As I say, the sun would bleach me out with color, but nice to think about.
Right. You got better things to
a-
spend your money on too,
Yeah, probably.
right?
Yeah, probably. Well,
But-
anyway, we didn't so much disagree, but yet, well,
No,
I
well,
guess we
I
didn't.
think what we thought was it probably wouldn't work for us. And that
Yeah.
sometimes you see a more mature person that's wearing these multicolor hairdo, and you just see that they're trying to make a statement. They're hanging on to that hippie
Yeah, and-
image that they once lived. And they're certainly more than entitled to do it. But you kind of look at them and you say, man, it looks so out of place.
yeah, I don't even wish it was me or that I could do that. I'm
like,
happy.
Like it's sometimes why is her name escaping me on MSNBC in the evening? Sometimes they have that Maya.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's one of the commentators. She
Yes.
has got the most gorgeous gray dreadlocks.
Right, right.
And all. And I mean, I think it's really cool. And other people probably have said, oh man, would you do something with that hair? But I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, I think she's, well, having said that.
Yeah, you know, so head on down to hair cuttery and all.
Or be happy with what you have.
That's right. You know, but you know, you discuss it with your hairdresser. If they're into doing pink and purple highlights and everything, and you want to do it, go for it.
Yeah.
You know,
you only live once.
The one thing my parents always used to tell me was, if I got a bad haircut, it will always grow out.
As will the color.
That's right. And the color, when it's gone.
Well, most of the color washes off right away anyway, but yes.
Right.
Okay.
It all comes out in the wash.
We said it. Oh God, that's old.
So, well, before we leave you, we just want to remind you about our good friend Irving Chung, who is a franchise specialist. He's a consultant. He knows absolutely everything there is about franchising. And while it may have be the furthest thing from your mind, if you have ever thought about, you know, I wonder if I could run a franchise, even on a part-time basis, you can contact Irving Chung. Go to bigconsideration.com. He's a good friend of ours, and he has got so much information about franchising that whether it's right for you today or maybe right for you 10 or 20 years from now, you know, it's always good to know what's going on out there. And Irving knows what he's talking about, because not only does he help people open franchises, he's a franchisee himself. So get in touch with him at bigconsideration.com, Irving Chung. And in the meantime, go out and get a nice haircut and come back and join us again next Thursday. At what time?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Right here. We'll be waiting for you. Okay.
Bye.